have some money to spend next year. So, so please join me in welcoming Jess to speak first.
Yes. Thank you and welcome. Can everyone hear me okay? Yep. I'm Jess. I'm Senior Manager at PEPS. I've been there for about 14 years now. I'm going to talk to you about income tax, and we've got Brian who's going to chat to you about salary sacrifice, and Luke who will talk to you about home loans and getting finance. I guess it's just a little mugshot. I guess you could refer to me as a financial GP, so I know a little bit about everything business and tax. If there's anything that's really technical, I generally refer it on to Brian, who's more of a specialist tax consultant or a cardiologist, financial cardiologist. So Brian gets internal referrals, and he's just on hand if there is an emergency, tax emergency. And we have Luke, who's your financial obstetrician, who will help you assess if you're ready to take the next plunge in getting your first home, and he'll also be there at delivery. So I'll run through with you tax rates, importance of getting health insurance sorted out. Got a few examples. We'll chat about help debts. I'll run through a tax return checklist that just sets out what makes up income, what kind of deductions you can claim, that kind of stuff, before handing over to Ryan and Luke. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them along the way. Just put your hand up and we'll try and cover them as we go. But the section where I go through the tax return checklist is probably a good point to really ask those questions if you've got anything. So tax rates. As individuals, you don't just pay a flat rate of tax. You actually pay, it's called your marginal rate of tax. So your first $18,200 of income is actually tax-free. The next band of income, so up to $37,000, you're paying tax at 19 cents on the dollar. Between 37 grand and 80,000, you're paying 32.5% tax, and so on. So it just kind of steps up in those different bands. You also pay the Medicare levy on your income at 1.5%, and that's increasing to 2% on 1 July 14. So you pay that Medicare levy when your income is above $20,542 in the 13 year. God knows why they picked that figure, but that's the magic number. Going on to private health insurance, if you don't have a full hospital cover and your income is above $84,000 in the year, you will have to pay an extra Medicare levy surcharge. And it is calculated based on the number of days you didn't hold the private health insurance during the year. So it is worthwhile. The first year out, I guess you're only working for 6 months, so it's unlikely you'll get above that threshold. But for the year that you're looking at working for your full 12 months, so it'll be July through to June 15, so July 14, I guess, will be the year where the period where you really want your private health insurance to be enforced. I guess, yeah, question?
Just a question about how it's calculated. Is it based on your total taxable income before tax is taken off?
So the actual levy is calculated on your taxable income. It's after income tax deductions. Yeah. But there is add-backs for things like salary sacrificed amounts, and Brian will touch on that a little bit more. But there's some gross-up factors, and you actually do need to look at your combined family income as well if you've got a spouse. It's a combined calculation. Brian, did you want to add anything to that right now?
Oh, that's right. But it is done on the gross salary. So say your gross earnings are 60,000 and they're taking tax out at 14,000, it's still the 60 that it's based on initially where's your tax deductions.
Yeah. And I've got a couple of examples that will probably make it clearer when you can see some of the numbers. Here we go now. So this is an example of an intern's tax return. It is an actual snapshot of a return we've done this year. Generally, we see in that first 6-month period for someone who is making use of the salary sacrificing allowances, that we'll see a gross income figure of about 30 grand after the salary sacrifice amounts. This particular person had some income tax deductions of about $750, bringing the taxable income figure down to the $27,110. Now I'll run through in a sec what goes into your gross income and what can make up your deductions as well. But just an example, tax on about $27,000 of income is $2 grand, and part of that you can see is the Medicare levy. So that's $400 is the Medicare levy. At that level of income, you're not required to pay the extra surcharge. It's only when your income's above $84,000 that you have to pay an extra surcharge if you didn't have private health insurance cover. So deducted from the gross tax payable of $2,099, we deduct what the tax withheld was from your employer. And generally speaking, in that first 6-month period, where you've signed your tax file on the declaration form, you generally tick yes, I've got a help debt. So they're going to be taxing at a rate that covers what your help debt repayments will be and what your income tax payments are. So generally speaking, in that 6-month period, you never quite hit the HECS repayment threshold. So you get a decent refund back in that first year. So we quite regularly for interns, we see refunds of $6 grand, $7 grand. It's quite common. So there is an incentive there straight after the financial year end to come in and get your tax return done and get that refund coming through. It's generally how it hands out. So help debts can be repaid in a couple of ways. Help debts can be repaid voluntary, so you can just go in and say, yep, I'd like to make a voluntary repayment. And generally speaking, if you make a voluntary repayment of more than $500, you get a 5% discount. Otherwise, you're forced to make a repayment when your taxable income is above $51,309. And I've got an example, just the next slide shows how that comes out in return. They're actually looking at abolishing the voluntary discount, which I don't know why. It is great to pay a little bit up front and get that 5% off, but I believe from 1 January they're looking at abolishing it. So if you are that way inclined to want to pay something up front, you might want to do it before the new year. It's a pretty cheap form of debt. I guess it's only indexed for inflation, so it's the incentive to pay it off is pretty small. You know, to pay it off voluntarily, it's reasonably small. If you've got other forms of debt like a credit card debt, you may as well pay that off first because it's costing you more to have. This example here shows that while the taxable income amount is what appears to be below the HECS repayment threshold, so it's 45 grand. Back on the last slide, the compulsory repayment threshold was 51 grand. While it appears that it's below that repayment threshold, we actually have to add things like the reportable fringe benefit amounts, which are the salary sacrificed amounts grossed up, and Brian will also touch on that. Generally speaking, if you're maximising your salary sacrifice amounts, there'll be a reportable fringe benefit amount of $17,000 that we need to add to your taxable income figure, not to pay income tax on, but just to work out if you're above the help debt repayment threshold. And that's how the help debt repayment is calculated. So in this actual example, $17,000 is added to the $45,000 taxable income figure, and there's a 5% repayment rate for that figure. So let's say, for argument's sake, that it comes to 65 grand if you add the reportable fringe benefits. 5% of that is roughly the 3 grand help debt repayment that you're seeing there. But again, if you've ticked the right box on your tax file number declaration form, your employer should have withheld enough tax throughout the year to cover that. And again, this is a real example on a tax return. There was still a net refund. So, any questions you if you wanted us to do your tax return. So generally at the end of the financial year, so after 30th of June, you need to lodge a tax return by the 31st of October after that financial year. If you go through a tax agent, we've actually got until May of the following year, so you've got a fair bit more time. It does help with planning in case you think for some other reason you might have tax payable. It actually helps defer the payment due date as well. We can tell you up front, yeah, you've got X amount to pay, and if we delay lodgement of it, it won't be until May of the next year. So it is handy going through an agent just to know exactly what you're up for and to check what kind of deductions, you know, whether you're maximising what you claim and whatnot. So we'd email through your tax return checklist, just asking for all your contact details. We would then generate an ATO pre-filling report, and the ATO would tell us what they're expecting to see. They tell us what they're expecting to see in your tax return. So we can kind of data match as well and make sure that there's nothing you've forgotten about. It's quite easy to open and close bank accounts and forget that you've got interest online, and you might forget to include that in the check. So just going down, that's just the basic details. Going forward, they'll only do refunds directly into your bank account. Previously, they were having to issue cheques, but that's no longer. So I think that's easier for everyone anyway. Who's got time to go to the bank and take a cheque. So that's one thing we ask for. So the income details come from your PAYG payment summary. So they'll be issued by your employer, and generally we see them come through of the second week of July after the financial year end. So as soon as you get that, you can pretty well get your tax return underway. Other income details include any government allowances, youth allowance type things, so that is assessable income in most instances, as well as interest on bank accounts. If you're included in any of your parents' trusts, we might ask for information on distributions, and if you've got any other investments like rental property and dividends or shares, we would ask for that information as well. Deductions. This is generally where I get the most questions from people. We can claim for protective clothing. So if you've had to buy protective goggles for your work, I mean, I think most of you guys will get your work stuff provided. So you just wear civvies with the ODA code. There's not a lot in the way of uniform costs that we generally see. Home office expenses, we can claim a portion of light and power. So if you've got a dedicated home office, keep track of your light and power costs, and we'll just work out a claim at the end of the year. Any furniture that you've purchased to set up your home office will claim over a few years. So most of the time we can't claim up front, is over a period of time. Mobile phone, we can claim a percentage of, and generally it's just based on your judgment as to what you feel that you use for business versus private use. And insurance, if you're paying for medical indemnity insurance, I think that's free for you guys in your first year, but the year after when you're paying for it, just keep the receipts and it can be claimed from tax. Income protection insurance, if you take that out, we can claim that as a deduction as well. So, professional development, I think you guys generally get an allowance for PD. So if you have received funds back from PD, you can't claim the tax deduction again for those costs. So if you've been reimbursed, then yeah, it's kind of out of bounds. But a lot of people spend more than the PD entitlement, so we can claim the excess as a tax deduction. Any donations to charities we can claim. Subscriptions and memberships, so if you're paying for your AMA, APRA stuff, all of that can be claimed as a deduction. And the cost of getting your tax return done is also a tax deduction. And anything else, bits of stationery, stuff like that, also comes into it. If you're needing to travel between places of employment, so if you're, say, based at the RA and you've got a do a rotation out at the QH or somewhere different, then we can claim kind of the extra travel that's required to get you there. Again, we don't see too much of that these days. Also, we need to include any spouse details and dependent details in the return. And again, that's really just for the combined income tests for things like the Medicare levy surcharge and calculations. Do I stop there for private health insurance and whether you've got a help debt? So we generally can see all that on the pre-filling report, whether you've got the help debt and what the current amounts are. For some reason, the tax office have stopped sending statements. Did everyone notice they didn't get a statement for the current year, which is bizarre. I've got a feeling they might have done that because getting a statement might prompt you to go and make a voluntary repayment and then you're getting a discount. If they're looking to abolish it, perhaps they don't want people to be thinking about it. That was a long process. But yeah, for some reason they didn't issue help debt statements. We can look that info up if you want to know at any point in time. We can actually log in and tell you what your help debt balance is. And that's pretty much it. They're the standard kind of things that we would ask in a tax return or for preparing a tax return. Does anyone have any questions about things they were thinking they might be able to claim and not 100% sure?
Yes, if there was something that you could either claim as a deduction or use your salary sacrifice or whatever, which way are usually better financially?
Yeah, generally speaking, you'd want to choose things to salary sacrifice that you can't claim a tax deduction for. So personal living costs and that kind of thing that you're not going to get a tax benefit by paying, you may as well salary sacrifice. And I guess we can talk about ways that if you're running out of things to spend especially in that first period, so the first period that you're working, the FBT year in Brian covers a little bit more. It runs from 1 April to 31 March, and if you're starting work at the start of January, you've got till the 31st of March to maximise that allowance, and it can get quite tough to spend the salary sacrifice now. So Brian will probably talk to you about different things you can do to maximise that. But yeah, if it's something you could claim as a tax deduction, try to not salary sacrifice it. Any other questions on returns and deductions? I didn't go through this checklist last time, so I think I had way more questions, but it just seems, because of my experience from last time, I just thought it might be easy to run through and just make it more logical. I had a really bizarre question last year. Someone asked me if my friend has given himself up to research and received some income as being a bit of a test at a guinea pig in a research lab, is that assessable income? And I think it was really him trying out all sorts of weird and wonderful medicines and whatnot. I guess the answer to that is how have they documented it and how have they paid you, and if it's just a simple reimbursement of your parking costs and travel there, then it's unlikely to be assessable. But I thought that was a bizarre one. Anything else? Any other questions? No? Cool. Well, I'll hand you over to Brian. He'll touch on all the salary sacrifice stuff, which I'm sure you'll be eager to hear about. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for having us here tonight. I'll try not to bore you too much. My name's Brian Nimmo, as just said. I'm a director at Perks in the tax and business advisory area. My section tonight's on salary sacrificing, and I suppose at the outset, I know that you had a talk from Max here early on, so I hope I'm not covering any sort of ground that they've already covered. So I've probably spoken to you about what you can do with Maxi all the salary sacrificing for you guys is a really important area because you're in a very unique situation in that you're all going to be, as I understand it, in the public hospital system next year. And being in the public hospital system, they have some concessions, quite major concessions with fringe benefit tax, which means that they come up with this magical number, the 9,095. What that essentially means is that they say that you can salary sacrifice, you can take amounts out of your gross earnings and put it towards non-deductible things like living expenses, rent, home mortgages, those sort of things, which you can't claim as a tax deduction. Ordinarily, for anyone that's out in the private sector, that you incur fringe benefit tax at the top marginal rate. So, whereas for you guys, up to that amount, it's FBT free. I'll go through a bit on the mechanics of how it works, because salary sacrificing is a little bit of a jargon term, but essentially the payments for these things are coming out of your gross salary, your gross earnings before the hospital takes any tax out. The beauty of having someone like Maxia administer it is that they give you the framework for making that happen in the most efficient way. Again, they've probably explained to you, I think, they offer things like a Maxia payment card where you can run up your personal expenses, whether they be groceries, whatever, and you can direct gross amounts from your salary to repay those. So Maxia give you the framework to do it. How much can be salary sacrificed? As I say, for public hospitals, it's up to 9,095. And the way they've come up with that and how it relates to the 17,000 that Jess mentioned is that if you can imagine that you earn 17,000 and you had to pay a top marginal rate of tax on that, you would be left with $9,000 that you could apply to personal type expenses. So that's why they gross it up and put the 17,000 as reportable on your AOG suffix, because it's what you would have had to have earned in the normal course of events to leave yourself with that amount of money. Again, as just said, the exception of the FBT year runs from 1st of April to 31st of March, which means that with you guys coming into the system at the start of January, I think it's a really good idea if you can to have a chat to Maxia earlier rather than later to try and get your arrangements in place. I think as soon as you know where your placements are or your internships are and you've got your payroll details, it's probably a good time to get the ball moving, because you've got essentially the period up until the 31st of March to incur those expenses, which you can salary sacrifice. So I'll talk to you a little bit later on about how you might be able to strategise that a bit. But yeah, I can't stress it enough. Be prepared earlier rather than later so that you maximise the advantage, because it's money in your pocket. In terms of timing, this slide just shows you in a normal year, if you said, right, I'm going to salary sacrifice my rent, my grocery, then it's quite straightforward. You've got 52 weeks of those sort of payments to make up the 9,095. In your first intern year, you've got 13 weeks to do that, and if you had hypothetically 13 weeks of rent, grocery, then you're going to fall a long way short. One of the suggestions that we've made, and this is probably where Luke comes into it as well, is that you can salary sacrifice repayments of personal loans or student loans. And if you're planning on going to Bali, are you guys going to the Bali trip this year? So I suppose you could hypothetically get a student loan, take that out, and use that to fund your Bali trip, and then repay from your gross when you start working. So that, as bizarre as it sounds, that's quite within the rules, and you could do that. So things like that are worth thinking about. But just to show you the mechanics of how it happens, imagine your gross salary is 60,000. Normally, if you weren't salary sacrificing, the hospital would work out tax. They would take the tax out, would leave you with a net amount, and that's what you would go away and spend. The way salary sacrifice works is, first of all, you say, okay, I've got 60,000. I'll apply 9,000 what's left is your taxable amount. So your 60,000 less your 9 leaves you with about 51. The ATO then works out the tax, or sorry, the hospital works out the tax they have to withhold on that as being the 8,000, and you're left with 42,000 as a net cash salary. But in the meantime, you've had 9,000 that you can apply against personal expenses. Does that make sense? To put it in a dollar context for you, and you know how much it does really mean to you. This table shows that, for instance, if you are earning gross wage of 37,000, which is unrealistic, but I guess in the first year you might be more in that range rather than higher. If your salary sacrificed the full 9,095, you end up with taxable wages of 27,905, with tax on that of 1,844. If you said no, I'm not salary sacrificing anything, I'll take the full 37, you pay tax of 3,572, and what's left is your after-tax dollars to spend. You can see that your tax saving in that instance is the difference between the 1,844 and 3,572, which is roughly $1,700. So even on that lower range of 37,000, there's still a significant saving, and as your incomes go up, that saving becomes even more pronounced. I suppose, in essence, again, and I don't want to go over old ground that Max here spoke about, but the type of things, and we had a lot of questions last time as to what type of expenses you can salary sacrifice. And when we did the presentation last year, we actually thought that you could go out and use a personal credit card and use your salary sacrificing to pay that off. Subsequent to that, we were told by Maxia that they've changed their approach and you can't do that. So I think in terms of your personal type expenditure, it's probably using a Maxia payment card that you would go about doing that. But that still leaves you open to do your rent, personal loans, car loans, home mortgages, things like that you can still do. They're probably the main things.
Just a question on the rent.
Yeah.
I'm going to overlook right business, but how is that organised? So if you've got, I assume you can only pay for 26 weeks of the rent, and so do they just organise it with the agency? Is that how?
Yeah, I think the way Maxia do it is they'll set up an account where your salary sacrifice amounts go into, and then you can direct where they go, and they would then pay direct to the landlord.
I understand that you have to spend it within the first 3 months.
Yep.
So then how would they pay for the next 3 months of rent? Or do they organise that?
Because ordinarily your salary sacrifice amounts go into the Maxia account and you get paid out. So over the course of a normal year, they would always have enough money there to pay the rent as it became due. They'll direct it off other loans and things like that. But it goes direct to the landlord. We had a question last year that was, could this person's salary sacrifice to a friend's rent? I don't think that would work, but you could always ask next year, I suppose.
So it's up to Maxia to set up
Yeah.
that transfer of money. Is it like that goes to our landlord or to our local
Correct.
payment? Is that right? Okay.
They provide the framework for making it happen, but it's the tax rules that allow you to do it. And that's why it's worthwhile having a chat to